Welcome back to the shop. We have quite the dilemma today. So, you'll notice I have a nice big old tire kind of mocked up in there. Now, that brings us to the problem. The problem is clearance. So I have maybe, I don't know, a half an inch right there. And then on the inside, I have even less. So you can see that. I got maybe a half an inch back here towards the back of the tire. Front of the tire kind of looks good. I mean, the tire doesn't rub right here, but I'm concerned with the tight tolerances I have. I mean, this tire's not even aired up. I'm concerned for clearances. You know, tires do flex a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause. I'm going to remove the tire from the wheel well and show you what I've had to do. So I'm first showing you the passenger side wheel well, so you can kind of get a comparison before I show you the driver's side that I've done work on. So the passenger side wheel well first has this bump stop, that's removed. And then it has this little channel, like my flashlight fits up in there. And it's about an inch wide in its narrowest. And I'll show you on the top. You can't really see it on the top. But let me pause now and take you to the driver's side that I've modified, and you can compare the two differences. This is the driver's side that I've modified. So, number one, I took out the bump stop, and then that inch wide channel that my flashlight was fitting up into is gone. What I did was I cut the fender there, the inside fender well, sorry. And then I cut the inside fender well there. And I pushed the inside fender well back to the frame rail. And I guess there's about another finger width of little channel left right here. But up here, it's pretty flush. I could maybe push a little bit more that way and get a tiny bit more clearance, but the tire is close to the frame rail here and close to the inner fender, the outside fender, sorry, here. So now this leads down a road of options. I'm going to pause and take you to the computer and show you some options. The least expensive option is this Detroit Speed mini tubs, and what they sell is the inside fender well and these little patch panels. Well, what are those? Motor Trend actually did a story where they put these mini tubs in a same year car as mine, and they cut this big thing out, and then those little patch panels are where they actually narrow those little frame rails. They actually cut a section of that frame rail out and push it back and weld it in. Now, Let me take you under the car and show you what that means. Now you're under the car with me. That Detroit Speed kit, what it does is it takes this frame rail, which is, I don't know, 1.5 inches wide, and they actually cut into it and made it narrower. Cut all this out, and then somewhere back here it went back over. Now, this is a unibody car. So what I mean by that is that this frame rail is not a full frame the length of the car. It stops right here and ties into the floor. So this is all floor, and there's the other frame rail on that side. Now here's the other thing that I haven't even talked about yet. I have to relocate the leaf spring inboard, which I knew I was going to have to do because this is the side of that frame rail right there. And the leaf spring occupies that space where the tire's sitting. So I already have to cut all this leaf spring mount stuff out and move it to here and make supports, okay? What I'm debating is not buying the $500 kit and making my own chassis out of 2-inch square tube. So what that would mean is that's the front frame rail section. I could 2-inch square tube to that, weld to that, brace to that, run my 2-inch square tubing and make my own frame rail that's, say, on the just on the inside of this frame rail. I have to make it then curve up and go up along the inside of this frame rail, cut out this shock stuff, weld the, put my 2-inch square tube in. Now I'm getting dangerously close to the gas tank, and I do have a brand new gas tank, but I may have to shorten it, which sucks. I may have to cut 2 inches out of each end and weld it back together. But if I got my 2-inch square tube frame rail that I'm fabricating on the inside of this frame rail, my leaf spring mount that I already have to move inboard will go to that 2-inch square tube. So what I'm debating is the $500 kit that has new inside wheel wells and cuts into this already weak unibody frame rail and then cuts back out of it. Let me take you to the top and show you more. Here's the top of the car. Now obviously my trunk supports, like my back deck lid and my trunk mounting, connect to that inside fender well. So they had to cut theirs too, and they had to put in the big fender well that comes in the kit and goes down. Because see, right here is where I've pushed back to that frame rail on the outside of that frame rail. But their cutout shows cutting through the middle of that frame rail and then back around. And then putting in their inside fender well tub. And they kind of spot weld it to the outer fender well tub. But if I do my 2-inch square tube chassis or back half of the car, I have to then, my 2-inch square tube is going to be like, say here, and I'm going to have to just sheet metal me a big inner fender well. Let me pause to show you something else. A lot of my research online says, oh, if you got, big power, you drag racing and stuff, you should go 4-link. Well, a 4-link, prefab 4-link systems that go right into the car kind of do what I'm talking about. They take the front frame rail and tie it together all the way to the back frame rail, but they use those little supports for tying. They tie to those top frame rails in the trunk. And if I do the mini tub thing and make those skinny frame rails, this isn't going to tie there together. And even a 4-link kit, even if I bought this 4-link kit, the tire's still going to hit this frame rail unless I shorten the top of their 4-link kit. But these 4-link kits are ridiculously expensive. So the question is, would you do the $500 mini tub kit that comes in here with and narrows this frame rail? Would you do the $500 mini tub kit, or would you essentially fabricate your own chassis? Because I'm already going to have to do extensive fabrication work to move the leaf spring hangers. That if I move this, and if I move this frame rail in with my 2-inch square tube, I'm moving my leaf spring hangers on that same 2-inch square tube. And I have to tie it, even if I decide to do the $500 Detroit Speed mini tub kit and cut this section of frame rail and come back out. Even if I do that and I make the mounts for the leaf springs, I still need to tie the rear subframe unibody part of this car to the front of the subframe unibody of this car, because that's going to be my transmission mount. My transmission mount ends after the front subframe part. So I'm going to have to either buy subframe connectors or make my own subframe connectors that tie that front subframe to that rear subframe. So all in all, if I already got to tie the front subframe together to the rear subframe and move my leaf spring hangers, I might as well just make back half the rest of the car with my own chassis. Comment below. Let me know what you think. Do the mini tub kit, or make my own chassis and make my own inner fender wells, which will, just look pretty boxy and square, honestly. Let me show you again, if you want to see that kit. Now on this write-up, they said you don't have to take the outside fender off. They just took it off for picture purposes, but they're drilling all the holes and doing all the spot welds. But I don't know. They cut a part of that original frame rail out to weld in that patch part that comes with the kit. So yeah, comment below. Let me know what you think.